The things I started to recognize, though, in the nature of the Gospels did change the way. This is not a collection of parables or a collection of wise sayings of Jesus. While there are wise sayings of Jesus in the narrative, it's clearly a historical narrative. And there are many places where this is obviously an eyewitness account of some sort, that the person is either, like in John at the end of his Gospel, it's pretty clear that John is telling this as though he wants us to believe that this is an eyewitness, this is an accurate collection of facts about Jesus in the first century. So I started to look at it that way. You know, could I investigate this as a reliable eyewitness account, an account that tells us something true about history? And if it does, you know, well, first of all, how would you measure that kind of an account? And I had a strategy in place that I was using with eyewitnesses as a detective. So I just took that strategy and applied it to the Gospels. And when I got done, you know, I was not setting out to disprove the Gospels. That wasn't my thing. I simply was setting out to kind of steal the wisdom of Jesus, just because I was casually, or maybe a little bit more than casually, interested in that, but nothing more. And it grew into a project for me where I was really getting after it. I mean, I was spending hours every day really just digging through. And I was somebody at my agency who used this kind of approach to document evidence called forensic statement analysis, where I had been to a couple of classes and had started to kind of use this on every case I was working. And this is a strategy to examine the words that people use and examine them very carefully, especially if they're a suspect in a case, to see if maybe this person is telling us the truth. And if they are telling us the truth, what kind of hidden detail could we glean out, you know? So I started using that with the Gospels. And it wasn't long before I was really impressed with not only the way they held up when you kind of test them using the format we would test any eyewitness, but also just in terms of the kind of interconnectedness of the Gospels that in some ways is quite surprising, that I would expect to see if they were two eyewitness accounts, but wouldn't expect to see if they were a fictional narrative. So that started me kind of investigating this more deeply.